In this tutorial we'll be talking about the brachial plexus. The brachial plexus is just a collection of nerves that supply your upper limb. It has three functions. There is a motor innervation of skeletal muscles, allowing skeletal muscle contraction. There's a sensory innervation of skin and muscles. And there's also sympathetic innervation of your skin, specifically the sweat glands and blood vessels. Sympathetic nervous system, as we know, regulates blood vessel diameter. The brachial plexus is located within the posterior triangle of the neck. So as shown here in this diagram, it's located between your sternocleidomastoid and the trapezius muscles. It is at the level of C5 to T1. Next we'll look at the structure of the brachial plexus. Now the structure of the brachial plexus is divided into four components: roots, trunks, divisions, and cords. So you'll have to memorize that. The roots, this is where the brachial plexus emerges from your spinal cord, consists of five components. Because it emerges at five different levels. So C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. Okay, these are the levels of the spinal cord. As you can see, the roots of C5 and C6 combine together to form the upper trunk. Root of C7 continues as middle trunk. It doesn't combine with anything, it stays alone. Middle trunk. And roots of C8 and T1 combine to form the lower trunk. Now this next part is a little bit more complicated. Each trunk is going to divide into an anterior and posterior division. So the upper trunk is going to divide into anterior division and posterior division. Middle trunk is going to divide into anterior division, posterior division, and lower trunk is going to divide into anterior division and posterior division. As you can see, I shaded the posterior divisions more darker so that it looks like they're going down into the page, in other words, posterior. And the anteriors I shaded lighter so that they're on top. They're anterior and those ones are posterior. Now the anterior divisions of the upper and middle trunk combine to form the lateral cord. As you can see here, one more time, the anterior divisions of the upper and middle trunks combine to form the lateral cord. The anterior division of the lower trunk, this one here, stays alone and forms the medial cord. And the posterior divisions of the upper, middle, and lower trunks all combine to form the posterior cord. Finally, the medial cord and the lateral cord are going to combine together, as shown here, whereas the posterior cord stays alone. Okay, it's not going to combine because, again, the darker shading color means that it's beneath this lighter shaded color. So it's going beneath and it's going to go underneath and continue alone, whereas the lateral and medial cords are going to combine. So now we look at the major branches of the brachial plexus. The major branches of the posterior cord are the radial nerve and the axillary nerve. Okay, the radial and axillary. The major branches of the lateral medial cords are the musculocutaneous nerve, median nerve, ulnar nerve, and the two small ones. The more lateral one is called medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, and this one is called medial cutaneous nerve of arm. So this is the order, okay? Axillary, radial, musculocutaneous, median, ulnar, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm, medial cutaneous nerve of arm. One more important branch is this one here. It's called the long thoracic nerve. Long thoracic nerve. As you can see, the origins of this nerve are roots C5, C6, and C7. Next I want to tell you the spatial relation between the axillary artery and the brachial plexus. So this here is the same brachial plexus. I've just drawn the axillary artery. As you can see, the axillary artery comes over the roots and the trunks and then slides underneath the cords. and emerges on the posterior side of the brachial plexus between the median and the ulnar nerves. Just as a review, I have shown the different divisions of the subclavian artery. So the heart would be in this area. This is rib 1, that's the humerus. Here are 3 muscles, so this is anterior view. What you see here is the teres major, the one on the back is teres minor, and this one here is the long head of triceps brachii. As we know, the long head of triceps brachii is going to attach to this region, to the scapula, which I have not shown. So the subclavian artery, once it passes the lateral border of rib 1, is now called the axillary artery. The axillary artery becomes the brachial artery when it passes the lower border of teres major. So somewhere in this area the brachial artery begins. The brachial plexus would be somewhere like coming down like this, right? So in this area, so the roots would be here, then you have the trunks, then you have the cords, and as we said here, the axillary artery is going to go over the trunks and the roots, and then beneath the lateral and medial cord. So I can't show it here, but I hope you can visualize that. So it comes on top, but then goes beneath to get through.